It was March 1962, a year begun with the devastation that Karen's death had brought. I was well into my first year of Oak Park and River Forest High School. I'd applied myself. I was on the track team. Our neighborhood baseball team had continued on. I had a job at Parky's Hot Dog and French Fries place in Berwyn, so I had once again recovered. JFK was president. The Soviet Union had tested a very large atomic bomb. The Beatles were on their way up in the UK. A chimp had been sent into outer space. Well, they couldn't send a dog, for it would stick its head out the window and ruin the mission. Patrick Hickey and Sharon Dalton had drifted apart. He didn't realize what he had, perhaps, plus he had gotten into pot smoking and beer drinking, two wrong roads, both of which led to perdition. Rick O'Kane, my former St. Bernardine's classmate, headed in Sharon Dalton's direction. They eventually got married, and later divorced. Nothing of any romantic note had happened lately, nor had I much looked. My father had been sick for a while, but had gotten better and was now as good as new. Summer arrived. Lazy days. Judy from New Jersey came back for 6 weeks or so with her sister, they having missed last year. Judy was friskier now, and so we had another summer fling. She lit up a funny cigarette in my basement once. I didn't indulge this time. I didn't like hardly being able to move. Later, my mother had asked, "What's that smell?" "Incense," I told her. No more just so-so relationships, I told myself. My family and I went on vacation 500 miles away to Lakewoods in Cable, Wisconsin. I met Penny in the lodge. She called me over to play cards with some others. I did, and she pulled me aside on our way home and kissed me. I was there for a week with her. She talked and talked. No one else could hardly get a word in. She lived only 20 miles away from me, and we'd get together twice a month for years to come. I could fill another book with our escapades. It was now March 1963. I was in my second year of Oak Park and River Forest High School. The Viet Cong had had their first victory. The White House had become Camelot. Nothing locally romantic had come my way. It had been a drought, although there had been some moderate rainfalls. Perhaps fate had already given me my due in life, and more, and was now withholding more. Well, I had been working a lot too, so I had already been blessed twice, although both had ended, one tragically. I still looked at the experiences as great luck, for without them, the bad luck would not have applied, and there would have been no experiences. So, since it had happened twice, then it could happen again, given the necessary conjunction of depth, maturity, feeling, love, and adventure woven together into life's golden braid. My new best friend was Joe Gaynor from Clarence Avenue in South Oak Park. He was both funny and adventurous. He lives in Hawaii now, all because he came to visit me there once. There was kind of an informal caste system at the high school, for the River Foresters and the North Oak Parkers were well-to-do, many wealthy even. Ernest Hemingway's family had lived in North Oak Park, and he had gone to my school long ago. Another dividing line was the one between the Dupers and the Non, who were called Greasers. Dupe stood for Dear Old Oak Park. The Dupers were mostly the ones having crew cuts, wearing white socks and brownish shoes, and sporting a sweater with a sports letter on it, or at least a rich and fancy sweater. The Greasers wore black socks and black shoes, with more than a few having motorcycles. But most of them were just cool guys, and hardly any of them overly greased their hair. Some of them weren't all that interested in school. Another, slighter line was that between the studious and the not-so. Another, larger one, was that of the juniors and seniors versus the freshmen and sophomores. I was from the poor section, the southern end of Oak Park, although we were not poor, but I was in sports and studious, but not to the extreme. Staying within the top 20 would be fine, so I guess I was hard to pigeonhole. I had an after-school job at Gerber's Hardware on Oak Park Avenue, just over the expressway. Then it burned down and I got a job helping to build a new Gerber's Hardware down the block. As for local romance, I had been on kind of a break. Winter had been cold and icy and it was still going on. At least I was making some money toward college, which I planned to commute to, in Chicago, this being the cheapest and only way for me to go. Geometry was going well, Mr. Rossiter's humor making it bearable, as was English, it being okay, but taking a turn for the worse when we had to read Ivanhoe. History, boring, in that humans made the same mistakes over and over again. Also had French and philosophy. Last year, biology had won the grand prize of interest, and this year it was philosophy. The philosophy teacher had seated me next to Don Light, who was number 6 in the sophomore class because I was number 20, since I suppose we would do most of the talking, and thus should be in each other's hearing range. How did I know this? Because my mother worked at the high school, she telling me that the teachers loved having the higher students. On the first day of class, Don and I went on and on about natural law. His descriptions were more generic, while mine were more practical, after I took care of the scientific parts. The teacher talked me into joining the debate team, which I did, although it seemed that it would be a drain on my time, but it proved to be exciting. Here's an essay on natural law that I polished up decades later, changing it to a poem, meaning that this isn't exactly how it was in philosophy class universal natural law, and then its violations. You will always be caught, so don't even give it a thought. The violation of universal natural law is the cause of our problems. All of everything that becomes rife that plagues individual and national life. These stresses only leading to more strife, from lowlifes leaving their wife, for the wildlife of nightlife, to cutting someone with a knife. So stem problems of national health, crime, the economy, education, wealth, and the black environmental sins, all of them having their origin in a widespread law violation by some portion of the population. Universal natural law is very terse in governing the entire universe, it being the orderly principles that regulate physical events processes. Science defines the universal law of nature, a precise description of how nature matures. Universal law pervades everything of all that is in passage and being, from the motion of particles to the evolution of life's articles, operating at every scale, the subatomic, atomic, molecular, biological, geological, astrophysical, and cosmological. The universe is structured, hence, in these many layers of existence as worlds within worlds, distinguished and not only furled by vastly different time and distance scales, but that every level has its own set of details. For example, an electron nucleus system is not analogous to that of a planet sun. The more superficial macroscopic levels of nature can be seen as fragmented expressions, for sure, that are manifested from the more unified laws governing deeper levels with their scrimshaws, the reflections of the dazzling symmetries of what were once inaccessible mysteries. The outer becomings are based on inner ones, the only fountainhead of all the rhythms, and the converse is not true. Nature's governance is maximally efficient, for it is frugal as not a spendthrift, it following the principle of least action in all of its action and protraction. This is why a ray of light refracts when going from air to water's tract, minimizing the time and saving every dime. From this maximal economy of nature, all classical behavior can be scriptured. Entropy is a count of quantum states, accessible to a macroscopic system's estate, this available number ever increasing. The nature of life is to grow, ever reaching. The path of least action's welcome is just the macroscopic outcome of the simultaneous superposition of multiple coexisting paths auctions at the microscopic level, the outcome ever of the least income, the law to which all must succumb. All is rooted in the verses of the constitution of the universe. Life takes advantage and cause of the universal natural laws, even such as in merely walking, which is an immensely complex undertaking. We employ technology in all of its variety. Everything that we fail to accomplish is but due to the total failure to apply universal natural law effectively, this being the source of all difficulty. In the absence of knowledge of a lever, the simple task of moving a boulder becomes complex and arduous to the shoulder. Not learning gravity has caused non-mild injuries to many a young child. The old uses of radiation caused cancer tumults. The use of DDT had many adverse results. Smoking cigarettes, heavy drinking, being out late, and other addictive obsessions surely violate universal natural law at whatever rate, resulting in negative consequences, while psychological violations dispense stress directly in a sequence immense. While fulfillment of desire can bring happiness, it also raises the scope and standardness of future desires, making the duress of frustration an inevitable process. Over time, this causes psychological stress, which in turn impairs creativity's success, stalling future desires by watering their fires, and also leads to problems of health. These then causing further stealth and violations of universal natural law, resulting in the nonsense of a life out of balance, leading to aggression, anxiety, impulsive violent behavior, hostility and substance abuse, a vicious cycle of refuse that, among other effects, fills up the prisons to correct. Nostalgic America, 1962. What about the 400 females in the sophomore class, with even some freshmen thrown in whom I was never in class with? Well, I'd run into them all, one way or another, such as at sock hops and football games, hadn't I? What with the school divisions, the fact that some females were just bland or slovenly, too religious, already taken or whatnot, the pool had been drastically reduced. My new and higher standards born from my good luck, possibly even subconsciously placing more reductions upon. I didn't want to be in any old average type of relationship, for I had noted many of those, and they weren't all that worth it. Nor was it likely, if I even could somehow qualify, to be walking 3 to 4 miles to North Oak Park or River Forest for a relationship, regardless of their higher class. Lois Gamboni had come out on top, and she lived in a nearby section of South Oak Park, but quite near to Joe Gaynor, and he had already romanced her. He had to have had, and her sister. He had to have had, and her sister. He told me to go ahead though, since he had his eye on a Christine a few blocks away, and sure enough, he went straight off to walk over there, sight unseen, to ring her doorbell and ask her to hang out or such. Bob Toner, Christine's current love interest and classmate at St. Bernardine's, saw me at the pool one day and asked me about my friend, Joe Gaynor. I said that he was a very good guy. "Hey, Joe?" Joe asked me still.
What about Lois?
"This still seems awkward, Joe. Are you sure? She's a prize."
It's too close to home, Pat. I wouldn't have much freedom.
"I don't know, Joe. She probably loves you since you're very likable."
You are too.
"I'll pass, I guess. For you two might really get going again, she being right next door and all."
Yeah, maybe, but her sister Joyce is my favorite.
Well, we had both goofed. Both of us should have married them. Such is life, but at least we were still the best of friends. One day, Cindy Rose came up to me, looking all loving and serious. She was gorgeous, but was at the bottom of the list, for she went with anyone and everyone at the same time. The tales of her exploits were all over town and the school. One day she caught up to me walking home near Madison Street where she lived. She wanted me to give her a ring so we could go steady. I said, "No, I'm seeing someone."
Who?
Myself, in the mirror. I bided my time, and actually I was pretty busy with non-romantic rings. I'd gotten a job on the weekends too at the end of my street at A&H Fasteners, putting away packages of nuts, bolts, screws, and all kinds of fasteners. They had a joke sign of a lady nut and a man bolt heading into each other. She's saying, "No, not without a washer." Winter had continued on, even into April, but not into May. Joe had a friend, Kurt, a gymnast, down and over a block on Gunderson Avenue, and so we began going over there to play pool. Kurt's sister, Beverly, a freshman, played with us, and they, brother and sister, talked all about gymnastic moves and meets, meaning tournaments, and a so-called gymnastic club in Berwyn.
Ask Beverly out.
You've kissed her, haven't you, Joe?
Well, yeah, but that's about all.
What am I going to do with you, Joe?
Well, she's very pretty.
Their whole life is about gymnastics.
Yeah, true. They taught me how to do a handstand. I've even done it on the high diving board at Forest Park Pool. I'll show you this summer. So, no Beverly?
I think I'll wait on it. Well, the next 6 on my top 10 list were already taken, but I had put them there, but not others taken, just so I'd know what I was missing. My policy, though, was never to try to take a girl away from her boyfriend. I brought happiness to the world, not misery. It's not that I was picky, although I guess I was, but I had been to the mountaintops. What about just seeing someone for something to do? I would give my all, of course, or try, even with my heart not fully in it. But sometimes these things then go on, and then you don't really want to shatter a heart that you shouldn't have led on in the first place. And then there was personality to be considered, which I had categorized, much like the Myers-Briggs personality profiles would go on to do. I could do extroversion, and well, when needed, but I was never one to perform for a faceless audience. I didn't act in plays, although I could have. It's just that the rehearsals would kill all of my time, and also that I didn't want to, which meant that it was something which would take energy away, not add it. Give me one-on-one or one-on-a-few, those few being people that I knew. I had plenty of intuition as well, but also being sensing, such as with sports, so call it a near tie, but in favor of intuition, for I never got into playing the piano or the violin. Plus, sports had aspects of intuition to it. I felt things deeply, but thought a lot as well, school and reading having greatly deepened my thinking aspect, as it may in anyone. The preference had to go to feeling, though. Was I orderly or perceptive? Well, order was useful when it had to be, and so I wasn't messy, but neither did I have to plan out my whole day, such as my mother would always try to do for us all. I was a writer, and as an artist I was naturally spontaneous. Every darn thing didn't need closure, but for when one didn't want something hanging over their head. I didn't know it then, but INFP types are just 2% of the population. I only vaguely felt somewhat apart from the crowd, but I was fine with it. Turns out, though, that this 2% writes most of the novels, screenplays, poems, and TV shows. Why? Because they understand every other type and can thus portray them. I crossed off Linda McElroy. She had been Lucille's friend, plus she had a dark streak. I peeked at her breasts once after a date and she had cried. Her friend, Ruth Bard, found out and started giving me a bad name around town, so I threw her purse up into a tree. Not my best day. Linda later took up with a guy from the pool hall, and I thought, good for them, I'm no longer tempted. I danced with a girl from North Oak Park at a sock hop, and she seemed really strange. After it was over, she hung around with me outside and wanted me to walk her home, for safety reasons. Well, everyone our age walked everywhere, for we couldn't get driver's licenses yet, and it was safe. Incidents were so infrequent and far between that we didn't really know of any. I went part way with her, and then told her I lived in the complete other direction. At school, she presented me with a notebook that had my name written in it 10,000 times, which had taken her a week to do. This wasn't going to work out, I told her, and she was sad. Better to say it now rather than later. Well, she was really rather strange in a scary kind of way. Peggy Heartless's father had died at work, he having fallen into some kind of mixing machine, and they were going to have to move far away. She lived only one street over on Wisconsin Avenue and was ever a part of our local gang, she now having grown into a very sharp girl. I reluctantly crossed her off, although still daydreaming that I could travel far and be with her in her misery. We had stolen many youthful and playful kisses way back. Both of my grandmothers and one of my grandfathers had died in the last few years too, but at least they were over 60. I thought of Karen's death, which had jolted me to my foundation, as well as Lucille's mother's passing. My list had grown short. I considered Joanne Tucker, who was in my homeroom. She was deeply religious, ever telling us that God did this and God did that. Why was she on the list? Well, she was spectacular. I quickly crossed her off. Next was Patricia McElliott. She smoked a lot. No good. So long, dear thing, it seems. But wait. Something told me I had to roll the die, although I knew little about her, for we weren't in any classes together. I made a new list with her on top, added a few more names, mostly of offbeat type girls, but then tore them off. Do or die with Patricia. I developed a plan to just happen to be waiting at her bus stop in the morning. Well, it was May and school would be out in June. I had gotten essentially nowhere but for working a job, but at least I had no spare time anyway, but you know, I would have made some. I quit the track team and the debate team. The Gerber's hardware rebuilding job had finished. Now I worked at a pharmacy store as a cashier out front for general merchandise. One day, Patricia McElliott's very little sister came in with some money and a note, which said that her mother needed cigarettes. It seemed to be an ongoing thing, so I gave them and added to the note, "Enjoy these, Patricia. PT." Later, Patricia herself came in. I had piqued her curiosity. She bought a pack of cigarettes, paid and smiled, but still stood there. I took up the slack. "You look pretty nice," I said.
Thanks. What's your name?
Patrick, and I wrote to you to enjoy...
And you know mine somehow.
I saw you at school and on the bus, and I liked what I saw.
Really?
Truly.
You work here every day? Yes, I do now, and all alone up front here. Just finished my 2 weeks training at the back register with Mr. O'Hare, the pharmacist.
From back there, I saw your sister come in some other times to buy smokes up front.
Is this job hard?
Not anymore. Some items aren't taxable and they all need to ring up in the right category. Plus, I have to make the right change. Long lines can be stressful, but only to those in line.
Is it okay that we're talking here?
Yeah, for another minute or so. I'm supposed to engage the customers and be cheery and friendly.
I think I might like you too, but I don't know what to do.
Where do you live?
Just behind here, across the alley in the blue house.
I can come over a little after 8. I'll tell you a great story about you. It's amazing the way it turned out.
Oh, please do. I'll be at the basement door.
See you later. What was I doing? I asked myself. The answer came back, it's spring. Somewhere, deep in the night sky, one of the fates had just blinked and winked. I went out the front door of the pharmacy, then took a quick left, going between the buildings. There was her house, across the alley. I unlatched the gate and headed toward the basement door, through overgrown grass, passing a lot of junk. She was sitting just outside the door, smoking. Steps led down.
Hello, Patrick, she said.
Hello, Patricia, I replied.
So we're Pat and Pat.
Both Irish.
That's good. What do you do?
She wasn't going to let me in just yet. I work every day right after school and part of Saturday. I play sports when I can. I study hard, which is mostly only during my 3 study halls, and I sell cigarettes to little kids.
Haha, when they bring a note.
Yes, when signed by you.
Well, I appreciate that. Wow, I'm flattered. Come on in, Patrick, and tell me more.
We went into the half-finished smoky basement. She showed me around and then invited me over to the sofa. She sat right next to me. It felt good. What do you do down here?
I read books and listened to music.
Sounds like a good Irish thing.
Yeah, she lit up a smoke. She offered me one, I lit it up.
No TV down here?
No, and just as well, it's mostly junk that's on.
What will I do with you?
Keep me company?
I can do that.
I'll try.
Does your family come down here?
Not much. I like my privacy.
It's your retreat?
Yeah, it's quiet here. I need its peace after school stress.
School's the biggest pain ever, and boring. I had put my arm around her while we were talking. She didn't resist, and then she laid her head on my shoulder. She touched my hair. This was really going well, perhaps because we'd had no time to worry about it, plus we were alone. So, you're happy down here?
Yeah, I make breakfast, go to school, come home, maybe do some laundry, help make dinner, and then go relax down here, then sleep from about 11 to 7.
Well, here we are.
You feel good with me, don't you?
I must say that I do, and my life is busy too with work.
But you can quit. I can't. I'm here every night.
Friends?
Maureen across the street, but she has a boyfriend now just recently.
Are you looking for a boyfriend?
I am now for some reason. I was daring today.
I kissed her, she sang after.
Is that your answer?
Yes.
It's always nice and cool down here, even during heat waves.
I'm in.
Are you sure you're not just enamored by my coming over to the pharmacy, as like infatuated, or just telling me stories on the spot, such as what I'd like to hear, as in being friendly with the customers?
I did promise you a story about you, Patricia. Wait till you see this. I pulled out a piece of paper, dated Friday, which had her name at the top, the rest of my list having been torn off and thrown away. Under her name, in smaller writing, was, "Not in any of my classes, but I wish I knew her. She's calm and steady, but alive, bright-eyed, hopeful and lithe, shapely, mysterious, beautiful, and Irish. Address unknown, different lunch period, gets on the bus at Harrison. Be there and get on the bus with her Monday, or forever have regret."
This planning is some kind of miracle.
Yeah, the cigarettes connected us first, a double miracle.
I came to you as all the while you already had me in mind.
Yes, I was going to manage to run into you. In fact, I was going to walk to your bus stop this very morning, but it was pouring rain like crazy, and so my mother gave me a ride in. She works there for the principal and also does the attendance.
Wow, I recognize you from the bus. You and a boy always sat together, but you both would always notice me and Maureen getting on, although you were not staring but glancing with gentle and wishful eyes toward us.
It all sounds like Irish luck to me.
Oh yes, something like that.
Yeah, and the wheels were turning, but I had only your demeanor and your appearance to go by.
Yeah, we don't share any classes, study halls, or lunch. That's rare, but it happens. I looked you up in the yearbook.
Just the bus together with everyone still sleepy-eyed or studying.
You still came into this near blind as a shot in the dark. That takes guts. I appreciate that. Bold.
Well, it worked, and the long shot is already in the home stretch.
I have to warn you, Patrick. Sometimes I get a lot of anxiety from worrying about school exams, getting to the next class on time, bright lights, my loud brothers, traffic, and more.
Yeah, sometimes I can't seem to feel normal if I have a test coming up the next day. It clogs my mind and I can't relax. I don't care if I don't do well. I just want it to be over. Plus, I may be working too much, causing my grades to go down, but I'll still get into college at the U of I. The fates had been playing around again, with the levers and dials outdoing themselves, going for some kind of record. The drought was over, and the flood was on. Go, Patricia.
Oh my, she exclaimed. The clouds abound and glow golden under the rainbow.
What's that from? I asked.
It's from my book of poems. Here it is. You can look at it while I go up and do the dishes.
Oh, Fates, she's a writer. I had read some of it by the time she came back down. I stood up with the book in hand to read it and act it out, but first asked, "Will anyone hear me?"
No, the TV is always on loud. I can't stand it up there.
I read the words the way they were meant to be read, along with some pacing, acting, and emoting. She lit up another smoke.
Don't tell me you're a writer too.
I am, and also a poet.
I've never been able to even get people to read my poems. They just sort of flip through the pages quickly and then put it down.
Patricia, we're going to live life's poetry, savor every word, and love every verse.
You have to make love to me. God, did I say that?
Let's wait a week or so. We hardly know each other.
Okay, I'm just so excited. I don't even know what I'm saying.
You've been cooped up here. Ever been made love to before?
No, but Maureen told me all about it.
We'll talk about it. It's too soon. Best to let it build.
They made hole on the elfin knoll, and then off they strolled, with the hills around them rolled.
From another part of your book of poems?
Yeah, it builds.
And, you know, we might have almost been in a class together, except that I was born in late December 1947, getting a year ahead of you and all the 1948ers.
Which?
You're Irish, and so you're Catholic, and you're in Ascension Parish.
And?
I once lived on the corner of Euclid and Jackson Boulevard, from 4 years old through first grade at Ascension.
What do you remember from first grade?
I don't remember anything much except for Mother Superior looking to me like a big gorilla on the first day. I told my parents that my teacher was named Mother Monkey.
Ho! I'm living in some kind of strange dream world tonight.
Oh, Patricia, and what dreams may lift us. Thank you, Fates. She stood up and walked all around the room, her hands up in the air and waving, as if flying through some dream realm. I joined, and we met, embracing, floating, near weightlessly.
Patrick, we're going to live everything that I wrote in my book and more.
We'll have to act some more of it out.
To the ends of the earth and into the depths of the inner spirit.
We talked some more and sat very close for about an hour.
Have you had other girlfriends, Patrick?
3 and 2 were very good fortune given to me.
What happened?
The first had to move out of state, and the third one died.
I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have asked.
It's been 2 years or so.
I won't let you down, I hope, Patrick, but my family might.
I'm in, for all I'm worth. Let all the joys, triumphs, comedies, and tragedies roll on, for all our experiences is all that the stars throw down to play in this great theater. It's priceless just to be a part of it all.
Play on play in which we play as the leads. Oh, play on poetry's wishes and heartfelt tales, adding, that's not from my book, but I'll work on it.
What a night.
We've outdone ourselves.
What's better to say? It's all downhill from here, or it's all uphill from here.
They both sound bad.
It's ever onward from here to there, through all the hills and valleys. She walked me out around 11.
See you in the morning, she called at the bus stop.
I ran all the way home exhilarated and then spoke to the stars. You've slipped again and have accidentally dumped another pot of gold on me. Will it last? Whether you toy with me or not matters not. I live for this day, and it brings on the synergy of romance, for one plus another together is greater than two, or it is that two together are much greater than 1 + 1 apart. Do your worst and you will still not break me. I took a shot in the dark and hit the target that you'd been hiding in plain sight. And now you gather your forces, who can but be pleased, thinking to hold back their meteor sorrows from raining down. Come down here, join in this new and everlasting gladness. She sent me a note in school, saying she needed a few days to savor the feeling and recuperate. I thought, fine. It's not always good for a couple to wear each other out. Let there be time for the missing to build and for things to happen in between to talk about. However, it did appear that love was costing her energy, whereas for me, love gave energy. We kept to our rendezvous every few days. Patricia's family never came down. Sometimes I would get off work at 7 if business was light. A month passed. We were more than ready. It just felt good to lead right up to it. Any longer and we would have had to take cold showers. Unfortunately for you readers, my dog ate the description of it, so I can't put it here. She began bringing me food sometimes at the pharmacy. So there was still magic in the world, even if it was scarce. The rarest of light that was so ethereal and out of the mainstream that it was wont to fall through life's cracks and disappear, ere you had a glint of it, much less laid your eyes upon it, but which usually was more like a stab in the dark. Yet now 1,000 suns shone, as if a telescope had found all the glory in a coal, black, dark night spot in the night sky. We wrote poems together, alternating the lines. In school, which was now bathed in a radiant light beyond that of spring shine, we passed notes on the stairs. On the bus to and from, we sometimes sat together. We could sort of go out together, at least to somewhere nearby, but only then, and only if I could arrange for the earlier pharmacy cashier to fill in for me, which she usually wanted to do, and did. Now and then I had a day off too. One night, Maureen brought her boyfriend over to introduce him to us for the first time. She needn't have introduced him to me, for he was my friend Pat Hickey. Well, we had both been mysteriously absent from the local scene lately, and since we both were not around, we didn't realize that the other wasn't either. The fates had been working overtime on this one. Now the fun had been doubled. Pat was old enough to drive. Time marched on.
Melt in the music of the folk until I am you and you are I. We're far away on holiday in the bright centers of our eyes. Merge as the honey and the suckle, twisting and turning into one growth. We're in a forest dark and deep, rooted in the soil, ever nourished. Move to the rhythms of the winds, flowing with each other's bends, dancing in the glow of the orb, feeling me upon your mind.
We danced in the moonlight, out in the jungle of her yard, which to us had become an enchanted forest full of ancient mysteries. Summer was steaming hot, but we had our cool retreat anytime and always, as in living happily ever after.
Our love burns the sun away, so now it throws its fires out, roasting the earth this year. But here we abide underground.
My father had been working hard at his job at Campbell's Soup Company, and so he hadn't had time to paint our house, which needed it. So he told us that we might have to cancel our vacation cabin, for which we'd have to pay a fee. I offered to stay home and paint the house. It was a big job, but I had off from work that week, and so it easily got done using many gallons of gray paint and a big ladder. I even painted the trim white, and the doorbell too. It was a win-win for all. Besides, Penny might have been at the vacation place, but more importantly, Patricia was here. And oh, was she here. And to think that she had almost fallen through the cracks. It was okay that she liked to stay in the basement a lot. Just to look at her was to be moved. She was a masterpiece, with flowing brownish red hair, with an alive, bright look, a healthy featured and beautiful face, her breasts aiming to poke my eye out, slim where slim was good, and looked as fine as anything on earth, especially in the white shirt she was wearing today. Kind of a vision of old Ireland lit by modern photography. Summer did what summer usually does otherwise. For me, with her there sometimes, which goings on I needn't repeat. We were as supernovas lighting up her subterranean abode, in a refuge from the inaneness and the insaneness of the world. Many of the kids our age tended to be a bit blank or rough around the edges, or interested in other things, or just aimless and sitting around. But Patricia had energy, oomph, passion, insight, and more. Plus, she was well read. We walked around the area one day, the day not hot for once, and halfway through the next, whereat I paused and said, "I have a popsicle for you, want it?"
Yeah, right here. Out of thin air.
Yep, it's right here nearby.
In your pocket.
Ha, not that. We knocked on a door of a house. A girl who was hopefully Jody answered. Jody? She had become plump. Hi, I was in first grade with you at Ascension, and we used to walk home and play together.
Hey, hi Patrick, I remember that.
Do you still have a freezer full of popsicles down in your basement?
Yeah, come on in and have some.
We visited and then continued walking, crossing Jackson Boulevard. Here it is, I pointed. Number 648 Euclid, the house my family used to rent, and Fox Park right across. I used to play by myself over there. I'd hide in the bushes and watch the people walk by. They didn't know I was there.
Your parents didn't watch you?
I suppose they did from the front porch, but I went far. A coal truck used to come by in the winter and dump the coal down a chute. Then we'd go down to the basement where I'd watch my father shovel it around and put some into the furnace.
I should have come over.
And I'd have said that I don't want anything to do with girls.
No, you wouldn't. You were friends with Jody.
Right you are. It was from the next year on that we boys shied away from girls, claiming that we'd never get married.
What did your father do back then?
He worked at Mars Candy Company and brought home Milky Way bars and other treats. Now he brings us dented and unlabeled soup cans home of Campbell's Soup. There's a 3-digit code on the bottom of the can. We liked 014 a lot, which was chicken noodle, and 023 creamy mushroom. We went down a few more blocks. I pointed, "There's my old nursery school."
It was mine too.
We're old friends, aren't we?
Yeah.
I would walk there and back by myself.
Your life seems so free.
It had to be. I had a baby brother at home and another on the way. I walked to Ascension and back too, and all over the place, probably near your house too.
My mother took me to school.
Still Catholic?
Not so much. You?
No, not at all. I gave it up in 5th grade. The old tales just don't hold together.
How come?
Well, the ongoing stuff, as always. All of the sudden, in religious minds out of nowhere, there is claimed to be a God person instead of just stuff, but people only come to be later on, and they're made of parts that had to have come earlier. A higher being might be of the future, but not of the past.
Yeah, and the perfect person, God makes creatures of his own chosen design, and then surprisingly gets disappointed with their behavior, then gets mad and throws them out of paradise to suffer, toil, and die.
And the same story before that with the angels.
See, it doesn't wash. The God was irresponsible, placing the fault on his creations that he made just as they were to be and act. He has an unloving emotional system then and after, too, putting all kind of plagues and more onto the earth.
Amen. Adam and Eve even failed right away, right off the bat, like children touching the very thing that they're not supposed to touch. Should we go over and tell Mother Superior?
She wouldn't listen.
People have to do as they are.
Yeah, blah blah this and blah blah that.
Should I write it up as a philosophy paper?
Sure, and put that we still got blamed through that dumb original sin thing. And that after almost everyone got killed by the Great Flood, the humans still performed as designed, ranging from sinful to goodness. What about the free will thing?
It's not really free. One will burn in hell if it doesn't match.
You've really thought this through. And put that the design still expresses its created nature and meant recipe, even after a supposedly divine human arrived. So why the punishments?
You forgot Moses.
Yeah, and the humans still goofed after he brought down the 10 Commandments.
Plus, God had already broken his own do not kill commandment via the Great Flood.
He's not even a good role model to follow, and he did other bad things too, not a leader at all.
So we can even outthink the Creator in terms of our goodness and not wanting to kill or blame people for their ancestors' misdeeds, or blame the thing if we make a thing that doesn't work.
Yeah, so it's all baloney, but some get comfort out of it. But all this adoring stuff, for something that always had to be there, with no choice to it being so. Cripes.
Sounds like God was made in man's image during olden times as a strict father figure, an extension upwards thing.
Yeah, punishments and all that, and that life requires a bigger life behind it, etc.
The etc. Regress is troublesome.
Yeah, it all falls apart since it never ends.
Well, people have always invented their mythic tales.
And then pass them on to their children.
And the children think that their parents know things.
What to do, yeah.
Nothing. The world is as it is. Ignore it, along with much of politics too, and those who are catty or often troublemaking. A good plan. The only behavior you can really control is your own, unless you're a parent, the law, or an employer. JFK was assassinated. I was sitting in the school library. My friend Pat Hickey came over and told me, "They got him." They got him. A bit later, in philosophy class, a bell sounded at an odd time. President Kennedy had died. Patricia had started to needing more and more recuperation time off and longer times. Then she got really ill, for her heart rate kept going up to 180 beats a minute, just like when I played basketball or tennis or ran the half mile, but hers didn't go down easily. Curse you, fates! The doctor said she would grow out of it and that she needed to rest for a long time. He gave her old-style medications, as I see them as now, with side effects, which was all they had back then.
I just can't do this anymore, Patrick. I can barely cope. I cover it up, don't tell.
Okay, I understand.
Sorry. Come back someday, if I shall invite, as thou hast come so many times, steadfast, dear, loyal, and loving partner of my deepest self, who gave me a life. It's over for now, the beautiful music of the spheres. The curtain drops. The audience of the starry night applauds. We come back out to take our bows, first to them and then to each other, over and over, to our dear selves, mine fading into sickness. I am lost.
We lit up one last cigarette for the relationship gone up in smoke and had a bit of a laugh and then a cry. She wrote once that she would get better and then worse, off and on, but her old self was gone. Fate had taken her genius. I'd never heard from her again. Years later, it seems she still liked to stay in, I'm told now by Joe Gaynor, who was in her class at Ascension School. Time had rolled on, its treasures stashed away in love's safety deposit box, never to be undone, I opening them but for this writing.